Hello, and welcome to another video. Today, I've got a very special commander deck to share with you. This deck is entirely made of proxies and is a Vermont-themed commander deck. It was created by Suspicious Duck, and here is their Instagram handle if you want to check them out. But I thought we could go through this today as I sleeve it up for the very first time. So, I've got some fresh dragon shields here ready to go in a beautiful blue-green kind of color. And yeah, so far I've only seen a small handful of cards from this deck, so most of these I'll be seeing for the very first time along with you. But being all Vermont-themed, I thought this was a really cool opportunity to get to share my home state with you through the lens of Magic the Gathering. I know I haven't talked a lot about where I'm from or anything like that on here before, but I am originally from Vermont. I do not live there anymore, but for my entire childhood and well into my adult life, Vermont was the only place I had ever lived. So it is very near and dear to me. And yeah, I am a little bit nervous, but mostly really excited to share this piece of me with you. Maybe a little bit of background in case you are not from the US. Vermont is a US state. It is located in the northeast of the US, in the New England region. It is a landlocked state surrounded by New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New York, and Canada. It is a very small state with a population just around 650,000 for the entire state, making it the second least populated state in the US, surpassed only by Wyoming, I believe. Things that Vermont is known for are like maple syrup and cheese, maybe craft beer when that kind of started getting popular, really beautiful autumnal landscapes, good mountains for skiing. It's kind of that quintessential New England vibe with like small town living, vibrant foliage, snow-capped mountains, things like that. But I'm sure a lot of that will come through as we start going through the deck. So let's just get right into it. These are so pretty. Oops. Alright. The deck is shrink wrapped really tight, so I'm going to be super careful here. Okay. Here is one of the possible commanders of the deck. It is Bernie Sanders as Círdan the Shipwright. So Bernie, as you may know, is a Vermont senator, the former mayor of Burlington, which is Vermont's largest city, former presidential candidate, meme format, and, just overall advocate for the people. So, I think they did a good job kind of capturing Bernie here with the voting ability, where both options are generally positive for the players. So, yeah. Next, we've got a land. So this is Camel's Hump as Beseju Who Endures. Camel's Hump is a small mountain in northern Vermont, named for its really distinctive shape there that kind of resembles the back of a camel. And this is a really beautiful shot of it, with that foggy background and the foliage up front. Good for hiking too if you're ever in Vermont. Next, we've got Montpelier as our command tower. Montpelier being the state capital of Vermont. And that is the Capitol building with the gold dome. The flavor text reads, "The smallest state capital in the United States by population, as well as the only one without a McDonald's or Starbucks. Based." That is true. Oh no. So this one is Rut Vegas as Demolition Field. Rut Vegas being the kind of uncharitable nickname for the town of Rutland. I don't know. Rutland ends up being the butt of a lot of jokes in Vermont, as evidenced by making it Demolition Field. It's kind of viewed as an undesirable place to live. But, I don't know. That's my impression of Rutland. I, haven't ever really spent much time there, so I don't know a whole lot about it. Oh, nice. We've got a covered bridge as Dreamroot Cascade. And it says, Vermont has over 100 covered bridges, the most per capita and per square mile in the United States. Very cool. There's over 100, but you still don't see them incredibly often. Anywhere with significant enough traffic, they've probably been replaced with something more substantial. These are wooden structures that are kind of hard to maintain, but they are pretty cool if you happen to encounter one. All right. We've got Apple Orchard as Exotic Orchard. Vermont certainly does have quite a lot of apple orchards. Apple picking is a common fall activity. Makes me think of apple cider and apple cider donuts. really awesome fall treats, which are some of my personal favorites. We've got Vermont 100 as Fabled Passage. And it says Vermont's Main Street. I mean, if you've visited Vermont as a tourist to go to the ski resorts in Stowe and things like that, you've almost certainly been on Route 100. I think it's one of the longest routes in the state. So yeah, just a really long road. We have Flooded Town as Flooded Grove. Yeah, in the past few years, central Vermont has faced some catastrophic flooding in back-to-back years. There were people who lost everything or their livelihood. Really, really sad to see. We've got C.C. Putnam State Forest as a basic forest. Love that, but don't know a lot about it. Groton State Forest as another basic forest. We've got Mount Mansfield State Forest. Mount Philo State Park. Absolutely lovely. I've heard it's a relatively easy day hike you could do. Moving back to non-basic land, we've got Church Street Marketplace as Geyer Reach Sanatorium. So Church Street is a 9-block stretch of road in Burlington that is totally closed off to vehicles. It's all just pedestrian walkway on this brick road. And it's all lined with restaurants and bars, shopping, things like that. Definitely a very touristy area of Burlington, but I would recommend checking it out. And the flavor text is still under construction, which I assume is a reference to a shopping mall that used to be downtown and had one of its entrances on Church Street. But that mall went the way that malls tend to go. They demolished it, and for many years, it was just a hole in the ground that came to be known as the Pit. The city took a very long time determining what to build there. There was a lot of drama around it, but they finally decided and are building stuff. Oh, this also might be in reference to Main Street, which runs perpendicular at the opposite end of Church Street. And that has been under construction for like 3 years or something. I think it's made getting downtown a real hassle. Ooh. We've got a corn maze as hedge maze. Another good fall-time activity. I don't think these are unique to Vermont, but they do certainly happen there. And this one I can see specifically has Long Trail carved into it, which is both the name of a hiking trail and a brewery. Next, we've got Burlington Waterfront as Hinterland Harbor. And the flavor text is, "Check out that sunset. Everyone during sunset." Yeah, so this is where Burlington meets Lake Champlain. There's a little walking area here. There's an aquarium, a couple restaurants, a skate park, little field you can just hang out in, or sometimes festivals happen here. There's a beer fest and a jazz fest, things like that. But yeah, really nice area here. I especially recommend in the summer. Oh, we've got Champlain Valley Fair as Inventors Fair. So this takes place in Essex. I guess it's like a typical state fair kind of thing. They've got rides and games, all kinds of vendors, a lot of agriculture stuff like farm animals. Musical acts come through, like Primus has played there, Dropkick Murphys, Kesha, stuff like that. But then there's also like monster trucks and demolition derby. Of course, fair food. This probably sounds absolutely unhinged if you're not American. It feels weird to say all of it at once, but it makes sense when you're there. Anyway. We've got Lake Champlain as a basic island. So, Lake Champlain sits between New York and Vermont, and was almost a Great Lake, but didn't make the cut. We've got Lake Memphremagog as another basic island. Lake Willoughby is another basic island. We've got North Hero as a basic island. This is one of the islands in Lake Champlain. South Hero, same idea. The Winooski River is a basic island. This is the river that separates Burlington from the town of Winooski. And Winooski means onion. So it is the Onion River. We've got a granite quarry as Mystic Sanctuary. I'm not super knowledgeable about quarries, but I have spent some time around one in central Vermont, and it was a really beautiful area. We've got a craft brewery as Odawara, the Soaring City. And, yeah, that makes perfect sense. There are a ton of craft breweries in Vermont. And, they tend to come and go, so hard to keep up. So, as we saw in the corn maze, we've got Long Trail as Prismatic Vista, the oldest long-distance trail, 273 miles in the United States. Great for beginners. I mean, that sounds sarcastic, but I actually have heard that people use the Long Trail for training for things like through hiking the Appalachian Trail. 'Cause it is a long-distance trail, but it is significantly shorter than something like the AT, so good for getting your bearings. We've got University of Vermont as Reflecting Pool. And I believe this is Williams Hall and a bit of the UVM green. Specializing in medicine and riding bikes naked. So, yeah, there is a UVM Medical Center adjacent to campus. That is a teaching hospital for the students here. And I don't know if there still is, but there was an annual tradition of a naked bike race. Wild times. We've got Bingham Falls as Rejuvenating Springs. When they're done pummeling each other, the fighters relax companionably in the springs, warming their sore muscles. I don't know what that's about. We've got Ethan Allen Tower as Reliquary Tower. Built in 1905, the tower is situated at the highest point of Ethan Allen Park in Burlington's New North End neighborhood. Ethan Allen, of course, known for leading the Green Mountain Boys in the Revolutionary War. Oh, cute. We've got the Ben & Jerry's factory as Rivendell. Produces 350,000 to 400,000 pints of ice cream daily. Whoa. Another thing I guess that Vermont is known for. And if you are an ice cream lover, I would say this is a must-see when you visit Vermont. Typical kind of factory tour experience, I think, but pretty cool. Oh, nice. Smuggler's Notch as Rogue's Passage. That is perfect. And the flavor text is another truck got stuck in the notch today. Vermont saying. So Smuggler's Notch. It is a very narrow mountain pass where the road twists and turns through like this rocky gap in the mountain. the road is only open during the summer months because in the winter, with snow and everything, that road would be impossible to navigate, let alone plow. It's just way too narrow and serpentine. But when the road is open, despite there being signs all over the place that say, if you are a truck, you cannot pass. You need to turn around and take an alternate route. But every year, without fail, a big tractor trailer, 18-wheeler truck, will ignore all of those signs and try to drive through the notch. And without fail, they will get stuck. They will not be able to reverse out, and they cannot go forward. I'm pretty sure the trucker gets fined, the trucking company gets fined. But anyway, that is Smuggler's Notch. Oh. We have Dog Mountain as shifting woodland. So, Dog Mountain, I believe, is in St. Johnsbury. And it's really what it sounds like. It's a mountain that is dog-friendly, with all kinds of hiking trails and stuff on it that you can take your dogs out on. And what we see here is the chapel on Dog Mountain. I've never been. It sounds so sad. And when you go into the chapel, the entire inside, wall-to-wall, floor-to-ceiling, is completely covered every square inch with like photos and note cards for people's dogs who have passed. I'm sure it's very moving. So anyway, if you're a dog lover and you find yourself in Vermont, maybe consider Dog Mountain. Anyway, here's Stowe as Tropical Island. Of course, I think it's safe to say that the real Vermont dual land is Taiga as the Green Mountain State. But of course, this deck is green-blue, so we've got Tropical Island. Stowe is a well-known ski destination, at least as far as East Coast goes. Next, we have Queechy Gorge as Fine Glimmer Snarl. It is gorgeous. And sure is a river running through a very deep gorge. It is pretty cool, I guess, but not really a lot to do there once you've seen it. I mean, there's an antique mall down the road, so maybe check that out. Next, we've got Huntington Gorge as Waterlogged Grove. All I know about this place is that it's really dangerous. And, has claimed the lives of nearly 30 people since 1950 due to its powerful currents. I'm pretty sure there's a plaque there for anyone who is considering swimming that, lists out the names of everyone who has drowned there. So, don't go there. Next, we have Lake with blue-green algae as Yavimaya Coast. Yeah, definitely a good choice for a painland. This is a thing that happens in Lake Champlain in the summertime. If the water temperature gets too high, the cyanobacteria algae will bloom, and you can get sick if you swim in it, so beach closed due to cyanobacteria. Burlington Parks Department. It is sad because it's like on the hottest days of summer when all you want to do is go in the water, but you can't. We have UVM Medical Center as Yavimaya Hollow. We talked about this a bit before. It is the hospital in Burlington. Destroy this land if exposed to ransomware. Yeah, that is a thing that happened. The hospital was subject to a ransomware attack. That was not good. Next, we have Shelburne Farms as breeding pool. Surely an inexpensive place to have your wedding. I mean, it is really nice, but I doubt that's true at all. All right. We made it through the lands onto Vermont Copper as Arcane Signet. Issued by the short-lived Vermont Republic in the 1780s until Vermont's admission to the United States in 1791. Oh, okay. So yeah, Vermont was the 14th state, just shy of the 13 originals. I guess this is what they had when Vermont wasn't part of the United States yet. We've got Burlington Earth Clock as Dolman Gate. Yeah, this is on Lake Champlain. I have walked by this quite a lot. A lakeside stone circle that marks the sun's path, offering a quiet place to watch time, seasons, and Lake Champlain's horizon align. We've got Bernie's Mittens as Silver Shroud costume. Yeah, so these are from that one picture of Bernie that really made a splash with the inauguration or something. They were knitted by a Vermonter and they were like overwhelmed with requests as soon as that photo went around. But yeah. Whoa. We've got Slippery Skin as Goreclaw, Terror of Colsima, an elusive bear-like creature from Northeast Kingdom folklore. Interesting. I've never heard of it. Oh, yay. Fred Tuttle. Very cute. As a restorer of the council, dairy farmer turned unlikely film star and political folk hero. So yeah, he was an old guy from Tunbridge, subject of the film Man with a Plan, all about him running for office. I definitely remember seeing the Spread Fred bumper stickers around, which was like his slogan, I guess. Blue-green algae mutant as experiment crash. We had talked about this already, but roses are red, my granddad fought in Korea, beaches are closed due to cyanobacteria. Creative. Ancient snapping turtle as ancient adamantoise. Yeah, those things are mean. I used to be really afraid of them as a kid, but I don't really ever think I was in a situation where I would encounter them. So, we've got a monstrous red clover as Avenger of Zendikar. That's kind of funny. Red clover being the state flower of Vermont. Next, we've got another artifact. It is Bennington Battle Monument as a Koma's memorial. The tallest structure in Vermont, commemorating the Battle of Bennington during the American Revolutionary War. Next, we have Autumn Girl as clever impersonator. Can't talk. Manifesting cozy vibes. Yeah, these are usually out-of-state tourists who want to come partake in the autumn aesthetic in Vermont. But, tourism is a big economy in Vermont, so as long as they're not trespassing or messing with residents' lives, then why not? Next, we've got Thunderbird as consecrated sphinx. Mythical bird revered by Native American tribes of Vermont. Very cool. We've got unpredictable weather as cyclonic rift. That is very true. Seasons can be quite volatile in Vermont. You never really know what you're gonna get. And yeah, guess we aren't going out after all. Oh wow. We've got a never-ending creamy as Enter the Infinite. Say when. Yeah, creamies are definitely a Vermont thing, especially the maple creamy. It's basically soft serve ice cream, but we call them creamies for some reason. I've heard there technically is a distinction between creamies and soft serve based on like milk fat percentage or something like that. But yeah, make sure you get a maple creamy in Vermont if you are not lactose intolerant like me. They are really incredible. And that is the correct spelling, believe it or not, with 4 E's in it. Next, we have the Bennington Monster as Galta, Stampede Tyrant. Blamed for odd disappearances near the Bennington Triangle since the 1800s. Yeah, so the Bennington Triangle is kind of the same idea as the Bermuda Triangle. Really strange stuff happens there, and people tend to go missing. Some of which I guess is attributed to a monster, so that's kind of fun. How nice. So we've got Champ as Koma, Cosmos Serpent. Champ is the lake monster that lives in Lake Champlain. He is absolutely beloved by Vermonters. He's on a ton of merch, a ton of sculptures and monuments. Vermont's baseball team is named the Lake Monsters after Champ. Just a very fun and beloved Vermont cryptid. Next, we have Ancient Maple Tree as Nixbloom Ancient. Yeah. Maple trees being very populous and iconic for Vermont. We've got Perfect Snow Day as Omniscience. You can do anything you want. Yeah. Growing up in Vermont, snow days were particularly coveted. You, got to miss school and could just play with your friends outside all day. They really were some of the most perfect days. We have Map to Bennington Triangle as Portal to Phyrexia. We touched on this a bit already. Area of southwestern Vermont where a number of people went missing between 1945 and 1950. Very spooky. Oh, nice. We've got Free Cone Day as Show and Tell. So Free Cone Day is a Ben & Jerry's thing. All of the scoop shops give away free ice cream, and the lines are usually super, super long. It looks like this one might be the Church Street Ben & Jerry's. I'm guessing by the brick walkway there. But it'll be like the line goes all the way up Church Street just for Free Cone Day. It is not illegal to get back in line after your first cone. Next, we have Ceres, Goddess of Agriculture, as Thassa, Deep Dwelling. I'm not sure about this one, honestly. Aside from agriculture being a big industry in Vermont. But don't really know anything about Ceres. Yeah, this is Subaru Outback as Thunderous Velocipede. Subaru Outback is for sure like the unofficial car of Vermont. They are really good in snow, very practical, especially if there's a lot of bumper stickers on them. And I can attest, all of these stickers definitely exist. I mean, first of all, they have the Catamount license plate. 802 is the area code for Vermont. We have Bernie 2016, Coexist, Mad River Glen, Ski the East, obviously skiing related. But yeah, that's pretty funny. Next, we've got Phineas Gage as Zapandrel Hunger Dominus. If you've ever taken an intro to psychology class or anything like that, you may have heard of him. He was a railroad worker in Vermont in the 1800s and suffered this freak accident where this metal rod impaled him through the head. But miraculously, he survived. Just some of his frontal cortex was destroyed, effectively giving him an accidental lobotomy. But they say his personality was much different after the accident. But yeah, that is the case of Phineas Gage. Next is Noah Khan as Yasin the Wandering Bard. Yeah, so Noah Khan is a musician from Vermont. His album Stick Season, I think, is pretty popular. I don't really know too much about him. Not really my style of music, but definitely cool to see a Vermonter getting some wider recognition. Oh. We've got Burlington Shoplifter as Agent of Treachery. Although Burlington is a small city, it still deals with its fair share of issues. So, yeah, just a reality, unfortunately. And the flavor text is, must leave the battlefield in time for their court diversion appointment. Oh no. Next is Lyme disease as Amphibian Downpour. Yeah, not solely a problem in Vermont, but certainly something you need to be careful of. Oh, cute. Next, we've got Hermit Thrush as Birds of Paradise. Hermit Thrush is the state bird of Vermont. Oh no. We've got Border Confiscation as Commandeer. Yeah, I mean, Vermont shares a border with Canada, so there are a few different areas where you can cross the border. And you'll learn that there are things that you can and cannot take over, even down to like fruit or plants, things like that. I don't think I've ever had anything confiscated personally, but I am always nervous crossing the border because I'm afraid of authority. Next, we've got a witch window as Conjurer's Closet. Witch windows are exactly what you're looking at here. For the styles of house that are fairly common throughout New England, you will see this. I don't really know what these are called. It's like a section of the house with its own roof, and then a larger section of house with its own roof. And on that exterior wall of the larger section, it looks like a regular rectangle window, but they've just turned it 45 degrees and slapped it right in there. I'm not totally sure why they used to do it this way, but like the flavor text says, why? Because a witch on a broomstick can't fly through a crooked window. Another explanation I've heard is houses often have bedrooms on the second floor. So if someone were to die in bed and they were put into a coffin, rather than try and navigate the coffin through the house and down the stairs, they could feed the coffin through this window and then down the pitch of the roof to the ground. I don't know how true that actually is, but I have to assume that the real reason is for ventilation or something like that, but yeah. I've never really looked into it. Ooh. We've got Emily's Bridge Ghost as Deadeye Navigator. So, we talked a little about covered bridges before, but this is a particular covered bridge located in Stowe that is said to be haunted. It is said that a young woman named Emily may have taken her life on this bridge, the result of a jilted lover kind of situation, and now she haunts the bridge. She is a very mean ghost from what I understand. There are stories of people getting scratches on their car driving through here, or scratches on their body if they walk through. I've been here a number of times. You know, what else are bored teenagers gonna do, but never encountered anything, though it was still frightening. Next, we've got a catamount as Displacer Kitten. So catamounts were a type of mountain lion that used to live in Vermont, but are now extinct. You will still see their imagery everywhere, like the University of Vermont mascot is a catamount. There's a special Catamount Vermont license plate you can get. There used to be a Catamount brewery, stuff like that. And according to the flavor text, the last confirmed catamount in Vermont was killed by a hunter named Alexander Crowell in 1881. Next, we have Town Nudist as Druid of Purification. I don't think this is in reference to anyone in particular, but this might be alluding to a commonly cited loophole in Vermont law. I'm not sure if it's still like this or if it really ever was, but it's basically that public nudity is lawful in Vermont as long as you left your home like that. So like, it would be illegal to leave your house clothed and then disrobe in public. But if you come out of your house already naked, then that is fine, allegedly. I don't know how true that is or if they've changed it, but that is why the UVM naked bike race that we talked about before was allowed to happen. Or could just be that there are too many people to control them all. I don't know. Next, we've got Patrick Leahy as Elrond of the White Council. So, another Vermont senator. You may know him from his cameo in The Dark Knight. I guess he's just a huge Batman fan, and so he was given a role in the movie, and he donated his money from it to Vermont schools. Oh no. We have Loud Interruption as Fierce Guardianship. This is a pretty hot topic in Chittenden County. The Vermont National Air Guard there has some F-35 jets, and when they fly them, you know it. You know, people fall kind of passionately on either side of the divide. On one hand, people find it very disruptive. On the other hand, that the Air Guard needs these and needs to keep the base relevant. And the flavor text is, "Let me call you back. The F-35s are flying overhead. Winooski resident." Next, we have Jesam Crow as Gilded Goose. Yeah, this is a saying in Vermont, though it might actually be a northern New England kind of thing. I was actually just reading a Stephen King book, which of course took place in Maine, and one of the characters for sure said Jesam Crow, so yeah, maybe it's like a New Hampshire and Maine thing as well. But essentially, instead of just exclaiming Jesus Christ, we say Jesam Crow. We've got Ticonderoga Steamboat as Golden Argosy. This I don't really know a whole lot about, aside from that this boat is now on land as an outdoor exhibit at the Shelburne Museum, which is a very cool museum with a lot of things to look at outdoors. So I would highly recommend checking that out. Next, we've got the Green Mountain Boys as Gruff Triplets. The Green Mountain Boys were a small militia led by Ethan Allen in the Revolutionary War, as we have talked about a little bit, and now I believe is a name used by the Air National Guard in Vermont. Oh, nice. We've got the Winooski Dome as heroic intervention. So this was a real plan proposed for the city of Winooski. Yeah, like the flavor text says. In 1979, Winooski's city planners seriously considered enclosing the community beneath a giant dome. I have no idea what the intended purpose of doing this was, or what it would end up like if they had really gone through with it. Having lived in Winooski for a few years, I am really so curious what type of place Winooski would be like. Like, would it be this futuristic place, or would it be a huge disaster? I have no idea. And I especially love that this particular rendering of the dome is in the shape of a giant onion. That is just so funny to me. Next, we've got bee nest as hornet nest. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. I've actually known multiple people who have little apiaries to raise bees and produce honey, things like that. So that's kind of interesting, I guess. We've got a slumlord as Karametra's acolyte. Yeah, certainly not just a Vermont problem, but it does for sure happen there. Slumlords are just landlords who do the bare minimum, or sometimes not even that. In particularly bad cases, their buildings might not even be up to code or have safety hazards. So, not good. And this one says, "Heard you have rats in your kitchen. I'll have to charge extra for pets." Yeah, that is kind of their attitude. Next, we've got Ethan Allen as Kodama of the East Tree. Yeah, we've talked about him a few times now, but Revolutionary War, Green Mountain Boys. And this one has partner. Wait, does he actually partner with the Green Mountain Boys? No, he doesn't. That's a bummer. I wonder if there's another partner in here then. Anyway. Next, we've got the Whale Tails as Machine God's effigy. So these are a sculpture that you can see from Interstate 89 in the Williston, South Burlington area. Originally, these were located in Randolph, in the geographic center of Vermont, but now they are quite a bit farther north. The flavor text says, "Made from black granite, meant to symbolize the fragility of the planet." I believe the name of the sculpture is like Reverie, something along those lines. Maybe Revenants, something like that. Ooh, this is a good one. We've got Darn Tough Socks as Mithril Coat. Yeah, Darn Tough is a Vermont brand. They make really good socks, especially if you're into outdoor activities. I know their annual sock sale is a really big event at their manufacturing facility, People will wait in line for that, like all day long, to stock up on socks. Darn Tough sponsored my roller derby team one time. We all got free socks, which was awesome. And I still have mine many years later. Next, we've got an I voted sticker as model of unity. And it says, Vermont is one of only 2 states, the other being Maine, that allows citizens to vote even while they are in prison. And this chevron pattern here is the flag for the city of Burlington. We've got the Willoughby Lake Monster as Nezahal Primal Tide. Interesting. I actually did not know that Lake Willoughby had its own lake monster. That's awesome. Oh yeah. We've got the Northfield Pigman as Copperhoof Vorak. Yeah. Wow. I lived near Northfield for a while, and I do remember hearing about the Northfield Pigman, but I have not thought of it ever since then. I'm loving all this cryptid representation, though. Next, we've got Winter Parking Ban as Raise the Palisade. And the flavor text is, Go park 10 miles away. Yeah, when I lived in Winooski, there was an overnight parking ban for the entire winter, even if there was no snow. So that was really annoying to have to deal with, especially if there was no off-street parking available. We would have to go park across the river in Burlington and then make our way back. Next, we have Little Free Library as Heuristic Study. These are absolutely not just a Vermont thing, but I would say that they fall under stuff that Vermonters like. And it says, Score, Ethics in Social Work, 1982 edition. There is good stuff in there too. Next, we've got Ethan Allen Express as Sail into the West. Yeah, this is the Amtrak train line that runs through Vermont. And as you can see, Vermont seems to name a lot of stuff after Ethan Allen. We've got Black-Legged Tick as Scoot Swarm, responsible for over 99% of tick-borne diseases reported in Vermont. Gross. Let's get that out of here. Next, we've got Runaway Herd as Selvala Stampede. Yeah, I mean, near farms you will definitely encounter cow crossing areas where you may encounter a cow in the road. I don't know that I've ever heard of a full-on stampede happening. Cows tend to be pretty mellow. But, maybe. Next up is pretentious out-of-state skier as Spellseeker. And this one in particular we can see is at Mad River Glen. And he says, "Back home, this black diamond would be blue." I can't really relate. I'm not a winter sports enthusiast, so... Of course. We've got Fish as Starfield vocalist. Vermont's jam band. They used to play Nectar's Lounge in Burlington in the early days. And I remember back when I was in high school, they decided to play this festival or something in the Northeast Kingdom. And there were so many people that came to it that local roads could not sustain all of that traffic, and people's cars were running out of gas on the highway. They were abandoning their vehicles and just trying to make their way. It was wild. But, yeah, I don't really know anything about Fish. I'm really not a jam band kind of person. I did see Mike Gordon solo once. I think he's the bass player for Fish. I don't know. Anyway, we've got Ski Trails as 3 Steps Ahead. And it says, Killington has the most trails in Vermont, with 213 trails spread across 6 mountain peaks. Wow, that's a lot. I had no idea. Next, we've got affordable housing as Toothy Imaginary Friend. Yeah, I mean, this is happening all over the place, but Vermont is certainly impacted. Affordable housing is getting more scarce, but yeah, it is unfortunate. Next, we have the Wampahoofus as archetype of endurance. This one I also have not heard of, but the flavor text is said to roam Mount Mansfield and remote logging trails with eerie calls and scurrying footsteps. Cool. Next is Bread and Puppet Theater as Control Magic. This I only know vaguely about. I have never been, but my understanding is it's like this outdoor puppet theater thing. Like you see here, the puppets are massive and there's music and stuff. I don't know how bread factors into it. But the flavor text here is art fights against war and stupidity. Bread and Puppet Manifesto. Next is Cyanobacteria as rapid hybridization. We've touched on this a couple times already, but the flavor text is that's what you get for swimming in the lake without consulting the Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation. Next up is Farmer's Market as Elfheim Sanctuary. Maybe it's a bit stereotypical, but I do love a good farmer's market. There used to be a really good one in Burlington that had really good breakfast burritos. Truly a delightful way to spend a Saturday or Sunday morning. We've got Unproductive Town Meeting as Illusion of Choice. And the flavor text is, "Oh well, maybe next time." Yeah, any small town I think can suffer from stuff like this. We've got 7 Days Newspaper as Merchant Scroll, an independent weekly newspaper published each Wednesday and distributed free at 1,000 locations in northern and central Vermont. Yeah, I love 7 Days. I used to read it all the time. In particular, I loved the comic section. Vermont actually has a cartoon school in White River Junction, so there's an abundance of really good comic artists. I used to love reading American Elf by James Kachaka, and yeah, love it. I'm realizing there is definitely more than 100 cards in this deck, because I've only got a few sleeves left, and there's more cards than that, so I also know Dragon Shields generally give you more than 100 sleeves, so yeah, I guess I get to pick and choose which cards I want to include in the deck. Next, we've got Queen Connie as Simian Simulacrum. Connie is a gorilla sculpture holding a Volkswagen Beetle up in the air. I believe she's on Route 7 near a car dealership. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, nice. We've got the world's tallest filing cabinet as Soul Ring. Over 40 feet tall and comprised of 38 drawers, located at 208 Flynn Avenue, Burlington. So, this is real. My understanding of this is that it is an art installation meant to symbolize bureaucracy. There's like a co-op grocery store across the road, and I used to sit in the cafe there and just watch people one after the other come take photos of this thing. But yeah, it's just kind of there. Oh no. We've got Stuck in the Notch as Tangle. Yeah, so we talked about this when we were looking at Smuggler's Notch. This is the road that trucks get stuck on and can't go forward or backward. So it's a whole ordeal to get them out. Next, we've got Sudden Pothole as Arcane Denial. Absolutely something you have to be careful of when driving anywhere that has snow. Plows tend to tear up the road quite a bit, and yeah, not good. Next, we have Boarding at Mad River Without Getting Caught as Essence Flux. One of only 3 ski resorts in the US that ban snowboarding. Interesting. Yeah, I think skiers tend to not like snowboarders because the way they carve kind of messes up the ski trails, I guess. Or maybe trails are separated for skiers and snowboarders. I don't really know. I'm just a roller skater, so I don't know anything about that. Oh. Next, we have Narcan as Herbal Poultice. According to the Vermont Department of Health, more than 70,000 doses of Narcan were distributed to community partners in 2024 to prevent overdoses. So, yeah. The opioid crisis is affecting a lot of areas in the US. Vermont is just not immune to this kind of thing. Oh. Next, we've got Ollie the Route 7 Camel as Quarry Hauler. Bactrian camel who greeted drivers along Route 7 in Ferrisburg for almost 2 decades. So just like it says, Ollie was a camel who lived right off Route 7. If you're coming up to the Burlington area from New York, that is typically a route you would take. And it was pretty typical for people coming up that way to remark that they noticed a farm that had a camel. He has sadly passed away now, but while he was here, I actually went over to play Magic with his family, so I had the distinct pleasure of getting to meet him up close. But yeah, that was so cool. Next, we have Maple Tapper as Thought Vessel. So this is how sap is collected for maple syrup. They put this spout thing into the maple tree trunks and affix a bucket for the sap to slowly drip out over time, which then gets boiled down into maple syrup. I think nowadays there are more advanced setups for doing this where there's like rubber hose networks that span many trees at once, so it's a bit more efficient, but this is the kind of traditional way, I believe. Next is Leaf Peeper as Wood Elves. May cause traffic jam. Yeah, I mean, the autumn foliage in Vermont is certainly a big tourist draw. I don't know if people really stand in the road like that, but they do tend to drive really slow. And Vermont already has a reputation for having slow drivers, so kind of compounds the issue. Next is Destroying Angel as Acidic Slime, the most dangerous mushroom in Vermont. Interesting. I have never heard of it, but good thing I'm not a mushroom forager, I guess. And finally, we have a maple creamy food token. I already covered maple creamies, so I won't get into it again. But do get one if you're in Vermont in the summer. Might I recommend Morse Farm in Montpelier? And that'll do it. So that is the entire Vermont deck. Once again, this was developed by Suspicious Duck. So go check them out on Instagram. And if you made it through this entire video, thank you so much. I appreciate you more than you know, letting me go on and on and on about my home state. I really love Vermont, and I think it's a really special place. So, I would love to hear from you down in the comments. And I can't wait to take this deck for a spin. I'll of course let you know how it goes. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. And please consider subscribing if you haven't already. I put out new Magic the Gathering ASMR videos every Monday and Friday. I truly appreciate all of your support, and I hope you have a wonderful day.